Welcome back to my YouTube channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters alike. Today, we've got a jaw-dropping topic that will keep you on the edge of your seat, especially if you've ever had a jar of old pennies lying around or if you're someone who casually overlooks the change in your pocket because you could be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. And we're diving deep, very deep, into a very specific coin that has stunned collectors and numismatists for years, the elusive. An incredibly valuable 1989 1-cent coin that has, in some cases, sold for as much as $632 or more due to very specific, rare, and often misunderstood minting errors and anomalies that turn an ordinary-looking penny into a treasure worth hunting for. And before you think this is just hype or some kind of coin collector fantasy, let's peel back the layers and get into exactly what makes this particular year and this particular coin so spectacularly valuable, starting with the backdrop of the late 1980s, when the US Mint was already transitioning between die styles, testing new minting procedures, and facing inconsistencies in planchette quality, all of which opened the door to several error types, misstrikes, and irregularities that went unnoticed by the general public at the time but have since become holy grails among error collectors. And while the standard 1989 Lincoln cent is a common coin with a mintage in the billions, certain rare versions contain anomalies so distinct and so collectible that they've turned what was meant to be just another penny into an ultra-rare collector's piece. Now, what exactly are these errors that make a 1-cent coin worth hundreds of dollars and potentially more? Well, for starters, one of the most well-known types of valuable 1989 pennies is the off-center strike, where the coin's design is not properly aligned with the blank planchette, resulting in a coin where Lincoln's bust and the date are pushed toward one edge or partially missing entirely, and depending on the degree of this off-center strike, typically around 50% or more without losing the date, these coins can demand several $100s from eager collectors who specialize in dramatic minting mistakes. But that's only scratching the surface, because another incredibly valuable error from the 1989 series includes the double die obverse, which, although more famously associated with the 1955 penny, can also occur in later years like 1989 and results in the duplication of design elements like the word liberty, the date 1989, or the motto "In God We Trust" appearing doubled or shadowed due to a misalignment between hub impressions during the die creation process. And while not every 1989 double die is prominent, the strongest ones with visibly offset or doubled lettering can be considered top-tier errors, fetching values that rival or exceed other rare minting mistakes. But it doesn't end there. Some 1989 pennies are known to have been struck on the wrong planchette altogether, which means instead of being struck on the proper copper-plated zinc blank intended for 1-cent coins, some were accidentally struck on planchets intended for dimes, nickels, or foreign coins, leading to coins that are either underweight or have unusual coloration or diameter. And because these planchette errors result in coins that simply shouldn't exist in the official mintage records, they are considered minting oddities and can bring in prices from several hundred to even thousands of dollars, particularly when the off-metal characteristics are easily visible to the naked eye or confirmed through professional grading services. And speaking of grading, certification from a reputable organization like PCGS or NGC not only authenticates the error but also establishes its condition, which can significantly affect value. For example, a mint-state 1989 penny with an unusual strike-through error, where a piece of debris like a cloth thread or a fragment of metal got between the die and the planchette, can create strange textures, blank patches, or ghostly impressions that add to a coin's uniqueness and value. And while the average person might dismiss such a coin as damaged, collectors know better and will often pay a premium for these rare artifacts of the minting process gone awry. And another fascinating anomaly to look for is the no FG error, named for the initials FG of Frank Gasparo, the designer whose initials typically appear between the Lincoln memorial columns on the reverse of the penny. If those initials are missing or have been weakly struck due to die polishing or other errors, the coin becomes an instant target for specialists in so-called no-FG varieties. And although this error is more common in some other years, a verified no-FG 1989 penny would be considered an incredibly rare and possibly unique specimen, potentially commanding hundreds of dollars or more if discovered in high grade. And let's not forget about transitional errors, which happen when the mint changes specifications from one year to another and a few coins accidentally get struck using the previous year's dies or planchets. So while 1989 was not a major transition year in the same way 1982 was, when the composition of the penny switched from mostly copper to copper-plated zinc, it's still possible that leftover materials or experimental strikes occurred. And since transitional errors often have no business existing, their rarity alone skyrockets their value among those who crave the unexplained or hard-to-find entries in coin catalogs. And then there are clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin appears to be missing in a crescent or straight-edge shape, caused by the blank punching process overlapping previously punched areas of metal sheets. And while minor clips might only raise a coin's value slightly, dramatic clips, especially when combined with off-center strikes or visible dates, can make a 1989 penny into a valuable conversation piece worth well beyond face value. And die cracks, cuds, and retained interior die breaks are also sought-after features for error specialists who love coins that show the wear and tear of the minting process. And although these types of errors can appear on any year, certain combinations and placements, especially those that affect Lincoln's face or the integrity of the memorial on the reverse, can significantly boost value, especially when they are dramatic or visually striking. And there's even speculation that some 1989 pennies may have been struck using experimental dies or undergone changes in die maintenance practices, meaning that some coins might carry subtle differences that have not yet been fully catalogued but that make them prime candidates for future discovery and re-evaluation by the numismatic community. And when you consider that coin collecting thrives on rarity, story, and historical context, even the most minute difference can turn a common coin into an extraordinary one. And all of this circles back to why a 1989 1-cent coin could be worth $632 or more, because if it exhibits even one of these rare and desirable errors, be it a double die, an off-metal strike, a dramatic off-center misalignment, or a clipped planchet with full date, then collectors will line up, bids will rise, and suddenly, a coin that was once discarded or overlooked becomes a prized possession worthy of being encapsulated and displayed with pride. And while not every 1989 penny is valuable, the thrill lies in the possibility that one might be hiding in plain sight, sitting in your change jar, dropped behind a couch cushion, or resting forgotten in an old piggy bank from childhood. And given how subtle some of these errors can be to the untrained eye, it's a good idea to examine your pennies carefully under proper lighting, with a magnifier if possible, and consult trusted coin guides, error coin databases, or professional graders if you think you've found something special, because the difference between an ordinary coin and a four-figure payday could come down to a tiny misprint or unusual shape. And now that you're armed with this knowledge, the next time you come across a 1989 penny, don't just dismiss it as pocket change. Instead, take a closer look, because one small coin from a year you might not even think twice about could just be the key to unlocking hundreds or even thousands of dollars in value. And that, dear viewers, is the fascinating, high-stakes world of coin errors where history, craftsmanship, and sheer accident come together to create tiny treasures that tell big stories. So stay curious, keep hunting, and remember, every coin has a story. Some are just worth a lot more than others. Next, 2004 D1 cent USA coin. Fellow coin enthusiasts, treasure hunters, and collectors of all things rare and remarkable, if you're passionate about numismatics or just curious about how a humble penny can transform into a small fortune, you're absolutely in the right place. Today we're diving deep into a coin that might be hiding in your pocket change, resting at the bottom of an old jar, or quietly tucked away in an inherited collection, the enigmatic and unexpectedly valuable 2004 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that under normal circumstances is worth only a fraction of a dollar, yet due to a series of extraordinary mint errors and anomalies, has fetched upwards of $433 or even more on collectors' markets, auctions, and private sales. Now, you might be wondering, how can a modern-day penny, minted just in 2004, command such a significant premium over its face value? Isn't the era of valuable coins confined to the early 20th century or older, especially those made of precious metals? Not quite. In fact, the fascinating story of the 2004 D penny is a perfect example of how errors, oversights, and rare anomalies during the minting process can elevate a common coin into a collector's dream. The D in 2004 D refers to the Denver Mint, where millions of these coins were struck for circulation, and like most mass production facilities, the US Mint runs with mechanical precision, but every so often, that very machinery glitches, and when it does, it can result in an error coin. And when it comes to error coins, rarity and condition are everything. Let's start with what makes this 2004 D penny so special. First, we need to understand the nature of mint errors that have been documented on this particular coin. One of the most notable and highly sought-after varieties is the 2004 D Lincoln cent with a die clash error. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies, basically the engraved stamps that imprint the design on each side of the coin, strike each other without a planchette, a blank coin disc, between them. This results in part of the reverse image being imprinted onto the obverse die and vice versa. So when a coin is eventually struck using these damaged dies, faint and ghostly traces of the opposite side's design appear where they're not supposed to be, creating a coin that's bizarre, fascinating, and completely unintended. Collectors are drawn to these coins because they are accidental works of art, misprinted in a way that tells a story of malfunction, rarity, and chance. Now, the 2004 D Lincoln cent has also been known to feature double die obverse errors. A double die occurs when the die itself is misaligned during the hubbing process, which is when the coin design is pressed into the die. This misalignment results in doubling of features on the final coin, most notably in inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date. On a 2004 D penny with this error, you might notice the letters appearing blurry or shadowed, as if they were stamped twice just slightly apart. These are not to be confused with mechanical doubling, which is far more common and less valuable. True double dies are produced at the die stage, making every coin struck with that die a part of the same rare batch. But there's more. Some 2004 D Lincoln cents exhibit off-center strikes, another kind of error that happens when the blank planchette is not properly centered between the dies. Depending on how far off-center the coin is struck, part of the design may be missing entirely, which greatly increases its collectability. Coins with 5% to 10% off-center errors are interesting, but when it reaches 50% or more, and still shows the date, then you've got a coin that's truly rare and valuable. In fact, collectors are willing to pay top dollar for high percentage off-center errors that still reveal essential identifying features, such as the mint mark and year. Furthermore, some 2004 D cents have surfaced with broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally holds it in place, causing the metal to spread outward and create a warped, flattened rim. Others show signs of being struck on improper planchets meant for other denominations or even foreign coins, resulting in wrong metal content or unusual diameters and weights. For example, a penny struck on a 10-cent planchette would be smaller and potentially silver in color, and these bizarre mismatches are like catnip for serious collectors. Additionally, coins with cap die errors, where a coin gets stuck to a die and causes subsequent coins to be struck with a gradually fading, ghost-like image, are almost surreal in appearance and command hefty premiums. But rarity alone doesn't tell the full story of a coin's value. Condition plays an enormous role as well. In numismatics, the Sheldon scale is used to grade coins from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect mint state coin, free of any wear, scratches, or discoloration. If a 2004 D era penny shows up in mint state condition, especially MS65 or higher, its value can skyrocket. Many of the $400 plus sales you hear about involve coins graded by reputable services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, and sealed in tamper-proof slabs to guarantee authenticity and condition. Coin collecting is a world where tiny differences make enormous impacts. To the average person, one penny looks like another, but to trained eyes, a small doubling of the motto, a faint reverse design on the obverse, or an oddly off-center strike transforms that coin from spare change into a prized possession. It's also important to consider the role of population in value. If only a few examples of a specific error are known to exist, demand from collectors can cause bidding wars, especially if the error is dramatic or the coin is in near-perfect condition. This scarcity principle is what often drives a coin like the 2004 D Lincoln cent from being worth just a penny to over $400. Moreover, there's the mystery element, the thrill of the unknown. Not all errors have been discovered yet. Thousands of these coins are still circulating, lying in drawers, or residing unnoticed in inherited coin collections. Every year, new examples and previously undocumented errors surface, renewing interest and excitement in this particular issue. Coin roll hunters, those who sift through rolls of pennies from the bank in search of valuable finds, often target 2004 D coins specifically for this reason. The 2004 D penny also gained fame and value due to increasing coverage in coin collecting magazines, YouTube channels, and collector forums. As stories emerged of individuals selling these error coins for hundreds of dollars, awareness grew, and demand followed. Some were discovered purely by accident, by casual collectors or even children who noticed something weird about the penny they found. Others were identified by experts using microscopes and error-checking guides. The democratization of numismatics through online content, marketplaces like eBay and heritage auctions, and coin grading tutorials has allowed more people than ever before to recognize when they're holding something valuable. All of these factors, error type, condition, rarity, awareness, demand, and the story behind each individual coin, combine to make the 2004 D penny an icon among modern error coins. Its value isn't based on silver or gold content, but on the power of imperfection. It's a story of how human and mechanical error can combine to create unintended masterpieces, mass-produced artifacts that, by sheer chance, become unique. So the next time you're handed change at the store, or when you're sorting through that old box of coins you inherited from a grandparent, take a closer look. You might be holding a piece of minting history, a small copper-plated zinc disc worth hundreds of dollars simply because something went a little wrong in the right way. Keep an eye out for double dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, and odd shapes or sizes. Get familiar with reputable grading services and error guides. And remember, every legendary collector once started with a single coin that sparked their curiosity. Will the 2004 D penny be yours? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into one of modern numismatics' most intriguing error coins. Make sure to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you don't miss future episodes where we explore even more hidden treasures, overlooked rarities, and the fascinating stories behind everyday coins that turned out to be worth a fortune. Last 1989 D1 cent USA coin, we dive deep into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and jaw-dropping stories from the numismatic world. Today, we're uncovering the incredible details behind a seemingly ordinary 1989 D Lincoln 1-cent coin that could be worth up to $$ for 69 or more, all due to some fascinating and unexpected errors and minting anomalies that have turned this small piece of copper-plated zinc into a collector's dream and a hot commodity in the world of valuable coins. So if you've ever wondered whether that penny in your pocket change might be worth hundreds of dollars, buckle up, because the 1989 D penny offers an amazing example of how even the smallest minting mistakes can lead to massive value increases when rarity, condition, and error types intersect in just the right way, starting with the fact that this coin was minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by the Denver Mint mark. And while 1989 was not considered a particularly rare year for pennies in general, since billions were struck that year, the specific error types that appear on a small subset of these coins make them standout pieces, especially to professional collectors and grading experts who understand how dramatically certain imperfections can affect desirability and value. And while the average 1989 D penny may only be worth its face value or a slight premium in uncirculated condition, there are documented cases where errors like double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planches, broad strikes, or die cracks have propelled the price of these coins into the hundreds, even approaching the $$ for 69 range in some known instances. And what makes this particularly interesting is the kind of doubling that collectors have identified on some examples, most notably on the obverse, where Lincoln's features, the date, or the word Liberty might show signs of doubling caused during the hubbing process. And such double die obverses are highly sought after because they are not the result of post-mint damage or wear but instead represent actual die-making anomalies that are replicated across multiple strikes before being caught, making them part of a limited and traceable group of coins. And then there are coins with off-center strikes, where the planchette was not correctly aligned within the coining chamber, leading to parts of the design being missing or misaligned. These off-center strikes, especially when dramatic but still showing a full date and mint mark, can command a significant premium because of their rarity and the visual interest they provide. And then we can't forget about clipped planches, where part of the coin appears to have been literally clipped off due to a misfeed in the blanking press, causing crescent-shaped missing portions that are instantly eye-catching and desirable, especially when the rest of the coin is sharply struck. And another error type involves broad strikes, which occur when the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally keeps the metal in place, resulting in a coin that spreads out wider and flatter than normal, again providing a distinct and collectible appearance that makes such coins desirable in the marketplace, especially when in high grades certified by trusted third-party graders like PCGS or NGC. And speaking of grades, the condition of a coin always plays a massive role in its valuation. So while these errors are exciting and valuable on their own, their potential price skyrockets when they appear on coins that are in mint state, especially MS65 or higher, because a coin that is both rare and well preserved becomes a double threat in the collector market. And now let's take a look at the specific die cracks and cuds that have been found on some 1989 D pennies. Die cracks occur when the die used to strike the coin starts to fracture, resulting in raised lines across the coin's surface, while cuds are formed when part of the die breaks off entirely, leading to a blob-like deformity along the rim or design of the coin. And these die breaks not only make the coin visually unique but are also highly prized because they typically appear on only a small number of coins before the die is retired or repaired, meaning the total population of these error coins is extremely low, and scarcity is always a driver of value in the world of coin collecting. And while these physical anomalies are key reasons behind the higher valuation of some 1989 D cents, there's also the element of market demand and collector interest. When word spreads about a particular type of error on a common coin, more collectors enter the hunt to find one, driving up competition and pricing. And this is especially true when social media, online marketplaces, and numismatic communities start circulating images and reports of rare finds, suddenly turning a coin that was ignored for decades into a trending topic that everyone wants a piece of. And another major factor in value is the presence of a repunched mint mark, RPM, where the D mint mark appears to have been stamped more than once in slightly different positions, a relic of older minting practices that has largely been phased out but still appears occasionally due to human error or tool misalignment. And repunched mint marks have long been of interest to collectors because they serve as a clear indicator of minting flaws, adding a layer of historical intrigue and mechanical insight to each piece. And as more and more coin enthusiasts take interest in varieties and errors, the prices of these flawed but fascinating coins continue to rise, especially when they are authenticated and encapsulated by grading companies, ensuring both legitimacy and long-term protection. And let's not forget that many of these valuable 1989 AD era coins were likely pulled from circulation by observant collectors who happened to notice something odd. Which is why checking your pocket change can still be a worthwhile endeavor, as the average person might mistake a double die for post-mint damage or think an off-center strike is just a worn coin, missing the chance to cash in on a valuable specimen. And this is exactly why education and awareness are so important in the coin collecting world. By knowing what to look for, such as extra thickness in the lettering, distortions in Lincoln's profile, rim anomalies, missing design elements, and misaligned features, you can potentially identify one of these rare gems yourself. And while not every 1989 AD penny is going to be worth $$ for 69, those that combine one or more significant errors with high-grade condition and visual appeal absolutely can be. And as more examples are discovered and catalogued, we continue to learn more about the specific varieties and their relative rarity, which only adds to their intrigue and value in the market. And beyond the individual errors themselves, there's something compelling about the story these coins tell of a mechanical process that didn't quite go as planned, of tiny anomalies that went unnoticed for years, and of the dedicated collectors and researchers who track down these numismatic mysteries, assign them catalog numbers, and build collections around their unique features. And the 1989 AD penny has become a fascinating case study in how modern coins, even from years with massive production runs, can still contain surprises that offer tremendous value and excitement to those willing to look closely. Whether it's the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of finding a rare error, or the financial reward of turning a 1-cent coin into hundreds of dollars, the world of coin collecting continues to prove that attention to detail, patience, and a little bit of luck can lead to some truly incredible discoveries. So the next time you're counting your change or sorting through a jar of pennies, remember this story and keep your eyes peeled for that elusive 1989 D cent with doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, cuds, repunched mint marks, or other fascinating flaws, because if you find the right combination in high condition, you just might be holding a small fortune in your hand. And that's what makes this hobby so endlessly rewarding and endlessly surprising. So stay tuned and subscribed for more incredible stories like this one as we continue to bring you the most fascinating finds and insider tips from the world of rare coins and collectible currency.